So, Mr. Denver, now that I've finished my inspection, our customers appreciate understanding what caused the issue in the first place. I'm going to go ahead and play this short video that our engineering department has put together on a high level. After I play the video, we'll get more into exactly what's going on. Play the video. Okay, so your home or your crawl space is located lower than grade. That means it's lower than the surface of the ground. So what happens is, in heavy rains or in conjunction with a snowmelt, the cavity on the outside of the foundation, it's called loose backfill, it fills with water and it will seep in any path of least resistance available. Water's always going to do two things: seek the lowest point, seek level, and then seek the path of least resistance to get there. So next, we have a rising water table. In the springtime, when you go out in your yard and it's just been saturated for weeks and weeks, the water just doesn't seem to dry up. You can even have ponding in the yard. That's typically from a rising water table. What happens is that the ground's just so saturated that it can't take any more water, so the water's actually coming up from the ground. And lastly, water is trapped in the crawl space under the home, creating all kinds of different issues. Okay, so historically, there have been three options for repair. One is what we call an exterior discharge line. Next is regrading and landscaping, and then lastly is a do-it-yourself project. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that myself either. It's gross down there. I have my magical suit on. All right, so getting into the historic options of repair, one is called an exterior drain, where they're digging along the foundation anywhere from 4 to 6 feet away. They're excavating all the soils and putting in a corrugated pipe. This is very expensive and disruptive. All the equipment that you have, the utility outside, does have to move prior to having this type of work done. You do have a deck out back, and that would also have to come off it because it actually has to follow the true perimeter of the foundation. With this system, or drainage, over time, silt and sediment does clog the pipe, but guess how much time? They typically fail within the first 5 to 7 years of being installed. So this is definitely not a permanent solution for your issue. And lastly is regrading. Regrading is taking heavy equipment. They'll come in and take the soils and try to slope it away from the foundation. Unfortunately, this only addresses surface water runoff. In our area, we know that we do have a high water table, so this wouldn't fix the issue that we're looking at today. Would you agree? Okay, great. And lastly, we have your open sump pump do-it-yourself project. With the home that you have here, it was inherited. I know that, you told me that earlier, the sump pump that you have, but it is also in a bucket from a hardware store. There's maybe 2 or 3 holes that look like they attempted to drill through the side of the bucket, but they are all clogged. So essentially, for this pump to kick on, it's going to have to allow the water to rise above the lip, which to me looks about 6 inches above grade, so that the water can then flow in there. Based on what I can see in this picture, I'm guessing that's what's going on here. You actually have a similar situation down there where they just weren't able to dig for whatever reason, and the bucket's only recessed about 8 inches below the surface of the floor of the crawl space. All right. So going over the solution, I am again going to play a short video that's put together on a high level, and then we can go over this on a deeper understanding. Weird. All right. So we're going to come into the crawl space and hand dig a trench around the perimeter. Then from there, we're going to put our crawl drain in, which is going to collect the water. So it's able to collect the seepage from up under the floor anything that may have come in through the foundation wall itself, and then redirect it into a location called a sump pump. So Groundworks through the years has gone through different types of sump pump systems, and we've really narrowed it down to there's 3 important components here: pumping capacity, redundancy, and also power failure backup. So with the AquaStop crawl space triple sump pump system, we have all 3 of these concerns addressed. We have a primary pump set at the lowest level. If that were to fail, or if it were to be overwhelmed, there's a secondary electric pump in the system. And then lastly, there's a 3rd battery backup. So if you do lose power, that is able to automatically kick on. And they're all housed in a basin that's made for collecting water. You can see there's multiple holes on the sides of the liner. The pumps are set on pump stands so they don't allow silt and sediment to get in there. And then so water can easily get into the sump pump liner, and then it's ejected through one of 2 pipes that are installed, PVC pipes. This is for crawl spaces that are really small. You have an opening that a door essentially, so we'll be able to bring in the triple. And lastly is how do we expel the water outside? Again, this would actually be a historic option for repair, where you just have a 90-degree PVC pipe coming out. The problem with that is water can freeze up to this point, which will then make the whole line either crack or the water freezes solid on the inside. Unfortunately, in that case, it is going to burn out your pump. So we choose to go with a protection fitting called a freeze protection fitting. So what this allows the water to do in any case that the line has frozen or the ground is frozen and we're pumping, like last January we were pumping a lot in the winter time, we had that thaw, it allows the water to escape the pipe and it freezes onto the surface of the ground away from the foundation. Does that all make sense? Okay, great. And then from there we're going to bring the water a minimum of 15 feet out. This trench that we dig out there is a hand dug trench. I am going to take photos before I go of the flags that I left out there. Please leave the flags there. We do call dig safe ahead of time, so we want to make sure that the area that we'll be digging is marked. And then lastly, we're going to install either a yard well or an angled yard well. As the installers dig, they'll establish which yard well makes the most sense on your grade, because they're going to slightly pitch that pipe going away from the foundation. And then this is just showing that the ending outlet is recessed slightly below grade, so no lawnmower traffic is going to impact the yard well. All right, so now that we've gone through that, does that all make sense to you? Okay, great. So we have all the products in your cart. We're going to go over to authorize the paperwork and get you on the schedule. Does that sound good? Awesome.